Hey, y'all, and welcome back to the Celestial Garden Show. I'm your host, Shaunice, and this is your weekly transit talk where I break down the astrology for the week of April the 21st through the 27th so you can move with more clarity, alignment, and intention. Honestly, this week is kind of a reality check. It's not in a chaotic or overwhelming way, but it's more in a grounded Taurus season way. It's asking us, all right, but what are you actually building? So that's what this Taurus season is bringing in for the month of May. And the tarot cards I pulled for this week are the Ace of Pentacles and the Lovers, with the Ace of Pentacles as the main card and the Lovers as the grounding energy. So, together, these cards are really speaking to commitment, not just to people or goals, but the life you say that you want. The Ace of Pentacles is that refresh, or not refresh, but that fresh opportunity, a chance to invest your time, energy, and resources into something that's real and practical. Now, the grounding card, the Lovers, is your inner compass. It asks, are you moving in alignment with your truth, or are you still trying to make something work that isn't actually working for you? So, this week's astrology reflects that exact dynamic of these cards that came out for the week. We start the week with the Sun in Taurus forming a square to Mars in Leo, and then Mars in Leo, the Sun in Taurus squaring Pluto mid-week. So this is kind of like some transits that influence pressure in our lives. They bring about like friction, discomfort, and sometimes conflict, but they're not here to like throw you off. They're here to help you get clear about your goals and the things that you want. So you might feel pulled in a lot of different directions, between rest and productivity, control and surrender, what you want and what you're actually doing about it. And then on Friday, we get a beautiful Venus Saturn conjunction in Pisces. So I believe this is the third conjunction. Don't quote me, but this is a moment of truth, in regards to your values. So it's where fantasy will meet that follow through energy. And you might be asking yourself, what am I willing to commit to long term? What dreams are worth the work? So this transit supports real connections, real art, and real maturity. It's not a fluff type of transit like sunshine and rainbows. It's about depth and responsibility, especially in regards to our love life and financial life, because Venus is involved. So we end the week um, on Sunday with the new moon in Taurus. And I believe we are also headed out of Mercury's shadow period because Mercury stationed retrograde after the eclipse in Virgo in March. So it started retrograde in Aries and then went back into Pisces at the end of March. And so now it's just retracing those retrograde steps, and it will be out of its shadow period around the new moon in Taurus on Sunday. And this energy for the new moon is setting a tone for a new cycle around security, values, and embodiment, and also how you relate to the material world. So it's asking you to plant something with intention. And with all that tension that's leading up to this new moon, you might feel like a breakthrough is about to happen. But it's also a line in the sand. So, like, kind of like a point of no return. And it's asking you, what are you doing or what have you done in order to get to your future goals? So yeah, the cards and the astrology are actually in sync this week, like always. So this is a week to make a choice, commit to the version of you that you are becoming, and take the first grounded steps towards it. Don't rush anything, especially with this Taurus energy. It's an earth sign and very slow moving. So just take your time, but also don't try to avoid anything that comes up either that's uncomfortable. So let's get into last week's recap and also the personal transits corner. So last week was one of those weeks where the astrology was loud. Kind of for me. I don't know if it was for everybody, but for me, it was more of like an internal shift, that something I saw out in the world. Like my mom, she was preparing for surgery on Friday. So I wasn't really plugged into like any of the headlines that was going on, but I did notice that there was some tension growing on TikTok around like some cultural wars between South Africans and Black Americans. And from what I could gather, it started around like the Zulu parade in New Orleans. But I haven't fully gone down that rabbit hole just yet, because like a lot has just been going on for me. So that's just something that I wanted to like clock, and I wanted to like take note of, I guess, and say in this podcast, because last week we had Mars entering Leo. Um, and speaking of Mars and Mars moving into Leo last week, literally the moment that that happened, or at least when I noticed the moment that it happened, Beyonce released her birth certificate and like her visuals for Cowboy Carter. And it's now confirmed that she's actually an Aries rising. So if you know me, then you know that I've already been saying that for years. Like she's ruled by Mars. She was either a Scorpio rising or an Aries rising. And as an astrologer, I felt so validated because I've been tracking these transits so deeply and like watching all of the patterns within like the major influential people in our lives, especially with Beyonce, because she is one of the major influential people in America's society and culture. And to me, this wasn't about like me satisfying my ego. It was just confirmation of me putting in that time and doing the work and knowing what I know. Even when like other people may doubt me or call me a hater. So something I've also been noticing is a lot of people online that are calling themselves astrologers. But to be honest, since this came out, it's clear like these people, most of these people, not everybody, but most of these people aren't studying, tracking, or practicing this actual language of astrology. Some of them are just Googling keywords, and offering readings. So that's very frustrating to me. Like it's frustrating to me because I feel like astrology is something that is so sacred, and it's not a trend, and it's not for like hustle to just make quick money. I've seen the things that it has done in my life and what it can do in other people's lives from the readings that I've done. So when Mars had returned in Beyonce's chart, she released her birth certificate, or it was confirmed that she was an Aries rising. And all of that happening and the confirmation within that just reminded me to keep doing this. And it also gave me like motivation to just keep going, even when I feel like I'm being overlooked. So to be honest, that moment really helped me get rid of like some imposter syndrome that I've also been carrying. I felt like I've always had to over explain myself just to be taken seriously, especially in astrology and on social media. Like I've been bullied, or like me being spoken down to, and people saying that I'm a hater and calling me crazy just because I love what I do and I'm actually reading the stars. And like I tell my clients, I don't make the rules. I just live here and I just read the energy. That's it. So, for those of you who see me and support me and who show up when I post content like podcasts, I am so grateful for y'all. Like I really, really, really am. I really appreciate y'all for seeing me and believing in me, even when I don't believe in myself sometimes, because it does get hard. And that's just me being honest. So y'all remind me like that the work that I'm doing really does matter, and it's okay for me to take up space in the astrology world. So I really appreciate y'all, especially like my support system and my community, my friends and my family. I really appreciate y'all for supporting me. So Enough of that. Let's get into the weekly overview, and then we'll get into the weekly breakdown where I'll go over each transit for each day and like tell you some interpretations of it and give you some tools on how you can navigate it. So let's get into the weekly overview. And it looks like the energy for the whole week, we are in Taurus season and it's officially underway as of Sunday, April the 20th. And we're getting hit with some of those confrontational lessons. So the sun is squaring Mars and Pluto this week, which is going to stir up some tension between the things that you want. So your desires and your actual actions, Venus and Mars. Or it even puts some pressure under around things like control, power dynamics, or motivation. So that's that Pluto energy. You might feel like you're being asked to step up and handle something you've been avoiding, and it's not light energy, but it's very clarifying if you would allow yourself to just surrender to it. So, the highlight for this week is that Venus Saturn conjunction in Pisces on Friday. That's one of those energies where we get clear about what's real, what's lasting, and what's aligned. This energy is very grown, very mature. It's Saturnian. It's spiritual and emotional maturity wrapped in love, creativity, and commitment, that Pisces Venus energy. So whether it's relationships, money, or just your connection to your purpose, something is asking for you to fill your heart up and say yes to it, or just be honest about it and say no. And then we close out the week with the new moon in Taurus on Sunday. This is one of those more potent new moons of the year in terms of like manifesting, because we're in Taurus and Taurus energy. The moon is exalted in Taurus. So it's potent in the themes around like what you want to manifest and like setting intentions around stability, finances, health, and long-term security. But it's just not about writing like a wish list of what you want. This transit is also leading into some intense energy. So this new moon will likely hit after a week of like tension, clarity, and some emotional release. It's more about where you're ready to stop entertaining so that you can finally start something that's truly yours. Mars in Leo opposing Pluto is removing the performer and asking you to be more authentic and go after the things that you desire, align with those things. So, emotionally, this week will move through a wide range of emotions. We start in a detached mental space. With the moon in Aquarius, and then we move into a more intuitive energy with Pisces in the middle of the week. And then by the weekend, we will shift into Aries. And finally, on Sunday, we'll be grounded with that new moon energy in Taurus. So expect your moods and your focus to evolve fast throughout the week and to shift, but also let it teach you something about pacing yourself, about being more present, and also how you respond to things that you feel pressured by. So let's get into the daily breakdown, and we can start on Monday, April the 21st. The moon is in Aquarius and the sun is in Taurus, forming a square to Mars in Leo. So this energy is a bit edgy, a bit direct, and it's energetically charged with that Mars Sun square. There's not a lot of wiggle room on Monday. So if something needs to be addressed, it will probably be pushed to the surface on Monday with the sun in Taurus squaring Mars. Some frustrations could also build up really fast, especially if your energy has been feeling really blocked or you feel blocked on Monday, and you feel like your needs can't be ignored. This is the day that you're just moving through that tension and you're not trying to avoid it, or try not to avoid it. So this energy can be a bit restless, like you want to do something, say something, or make a move, but the energy or the vibes might not feel right, or they feel just really uncomfortable or reactive. It's easy to project your frustrations outward and on people on Monday. But this is also a chance for you to recognize what's not working and to course correct with some intention. So, some positive expressions of this energy would be clarifying what needs action, releasing pent up energy through movement or truth. And lastly, fierce motivation with aligned with your values. Now, some challenging aspects of this energy would be power struggles, emotional impulsiveness, or defensive energy, feeling like you have to fight to be heard. So, what you can do on Monday is move your body, but don't move it in anger. Set some strong intentions before speaking on something that you feel emotional about, and step up if the vibe feels hostile. Or step not step up, but step back. Just take a break. If the energy feels hostile, just take a break and respond to it later when things calm down. Now, some questions that you can ask yourself on Monday are: am I asserting myself or just reacting? What's under the surface of my frustrations? And is this worth engaging, or is it better to ground and release it? Now, let's get into Tuesday, April the 22nd. The moon is in Aquarius, but it will move into Pisces late when most of us are asleep or going to bed. So on Tuesday, it's kind of like emotions meet logic. The day starts with some mental clarity, but then it softens into some emotional energy as the moon moves into Pisces. So it's kind of like a transitional day. It's a great day to reflect, and notice like some subtle shifts. Also, taking a step back to recenter yourself with that Pisces energy can let you know which direction you can take next. So this day, Tuesday, is a gentle day. There may be some surprises or a little bit of a shakeup, but nothing that will feel too overwhelming, or it shouldn't feel too overwhelming. The key to Tuesday is to stay open to change and allow yourself to shift your focus mentally, spiritually, or emotionally, and give yourself some permission to not move or have it all figured out. Make any moves or have it all figured out. Some positive expressions of Tuesday's energy would be some intuitive insight, emotional clarity, or spiritual peace, or feeling more connected to your to the bigger picture or that divine energy guide. Now, some challenging expressions of Tuesday's energy would be feeling emotionally overwhelmed or overstimulated, avoiding responsibilities in um, the name of like flow, like going with the flow, getting stuck in your head in the middle of the day. So, what you can do on Tuesday is reflect before reacting, prioritize spiritual or emotional rest, and tune into your dreams or some art or music. Now, some questions that you can ask on Tuesday are: what needs softening Tuesday? Am I avoiding something that actually needs grace and not avoidance? And what's guiding me beneath the surface? So Tuesday is a great day to connect with your spiritual practices and to just really connect with that divine creative energy. Now let's move over to Wednesday. Wednesday, the moon is in Pisces, but the sun in Taurus is forming a square to Pluto. So this is a bit of an emotional day. Um, it might get a bit under your skin. It's kind of like some quiet intensity, not really seeing things clearly because the moon is in Pisces, but you can feel something bubbling underneath the surface with the sun in Taurus squaring Pluto. So it's like something is shifting behind the scenes. And you may have to come face to face with some control issues, some hidden fears, or power dynamics that don't align with who you're becoming. So let this be a release and not a reaction type of day. It's kind of like doing some shadow work and clearing that energy. the Pisces moon will soften the edges most of the day, like that edgy feeling, but Pluto brings about the truth and bringing things to the surface. So together they're both asking you to hold space for vulnerability while also releasing the mask that you no longer need. So it's just asking you to be honest about your emotions, even if it's just with yourself. Everything about Wednesday is just emotionally reflective energy. So some positive expressions of Wednesday's energy would be releasing emotional baggage or outdated roles. Um, you having some strong intuitive guidance and also potentially feeling spiritually protected while facing something hard. Now, some challenging aspects or energy expressions on Wednesday's energy Wednesday's energy would be feeling emotionally exposed, some power struggles masked as sensitivity, or trying to bypass uncomfortable truths. Now, some questions that you can ask on Wednesday would be um, let the emotions, or sorry, not questions, but what some things that you can do on Wednesday would be let the emotions move and don't try to bottle them up. Spend some time in solitude or getting grounded in your spiritual practices and reflect on where your power really comes from. If you find that you're giving your power away, call that power back, call that energy back to you. So, some questions that you can ask yourself on Wednesday are: what truth am I finally ready to face? Where do I still give my power away? And lastly, what part of me is ready to transform, even if it's uncomfortable? Okay, so let's move over to Thursday, April the 24th, with the moon in Pisces all day. So, this is some dreamy, emotional, and expansive energy with a few bumps because the moon will be squaring Jupiter. So, this is a Pisces moon kind of day through and through, and that means you may feel more sensitive on Thursday. You might even feel more inspired or even spaced out. Don't force any focus with the Pisces moon. Flow with what's flowing and give yourself permission to feel everything with that energy. It's the energy of being divinely connected to source. So, Thursday is the energy of moving through emotional overwhelm to a more quiet and spiritually grounded energy. The moon will meet up with Saturn and Venus later on Thursday night, and it can bring about some serious emotional insight, especially around love, creativity, or purpose. So think long term and devotion. Now, some positive expression of Thursday's energy would be heartfelt clarity about relationships or dreams, some quiet inner knowing or recommitting to what's sacred. Now, challenging expressions of the energy on Thursday would be emotional exhaustion, overextending yourself or trying to fix others, feeling unsure about what's real versus what's imagined and what's not real. So with Pisces energy, I like to think of it as an emotional container. So make sure on Thursday you're not being an emotional container for others, and you are also like feeling your emotions and getting connected to that source energy. So some things that you can do on Thursday is meditate or create a space of silence. Pisces energy is the energy of isolation. So getting in some silence, some silence or solitude. Connect with people who feel like your soul family. Pisces energy is the energy of unconditional love. So feeling connected to the people that you feel that energy from. Letting yourself feel without rushing to explain or resolve any issues. So Pisces is the energy of illusions and not really seeing clearly through the veil. So just wait until the moon moves into Aries to get more clarity and or to take more action on what you should do. So some questions that you can ask yourself on Thursday is what do I know in my heart, even if my mind can't explain it yet? What am I building emotionally, and is it rooted in truth? What deserves more of my devotion, and what needs releasing? So let's look over Friday's energy with the moon moving into Aries and Venus forming a conjunction with Saturn in Pisces. So this is one of the major transits or major energies of the week, Friday, April the 25th, and it's rooted in grounded decisions, mature love, and soul level commitments. Venus conjunct Saturn is the kind of transit that asks, are you serious about this? Whether it's a relationship, a financial goal, or your art, like some creative project. This energy says it's time to put your heart where your values are. So Friday's energy is blended with inspiration and drive. It's emotionally charged, but it's purposeful energy. Venus and Saturn might feel heavy at first, but it helps you get clear about what you need to commit to. So this is a great day to make decisions from your inner knowing, connecting with your inner convictions, not fantasy. So some positive expressions of Friday's energy would be grounded emotional maturity, creative or romantic breakthroughs, and clear communication from the heart. Now, some challenging expressions of Friday's energy would be emotional boldness or distance, feeling burdened by responsibilities in love or money, some harsh self criticism. So, what you can do with Friday's energy is speak honestly, even if it's not perfect. Invest your time and energy wisely. Reflect on what commitments feel aligned and what feels like an obligation. Now, some questions that you can ask yourself on Friday are, what relationship, goal, or dream am I truly ready to commit to? Where do I need better boundaries with others or myself? And lastly, how can I bring more maturity to my love and money choices? So let's move over to Saturday with the moon in Aries all day. So this is the energy of courage, clarity, and direct action within our emotional worlds. So today is a fast-paced and mentally sharp Saturday is a fast-paced and mentally sharp day. The moon in Aries forms supportive aspects to Jupiter and Chiron, a perfect setup for healing something that once felt too sensitive to face. So say what needs to be said on Saturday and move how you need to move. This energy is great to reclaim your power after an emotionally draining or intense week. You may feel more confident on Saturday about speaking your truth or moving forward on something that felt stuck. And it's also offering healing energy. So it's saying that healing doesn't have to be heavy on Saturday. It might actually come through some boldness and laughter. Now, some positive expressions of Saturday's energy would be self confidence and clarity, courageous conversations, healing through action, and some challenging expressions would be jumping to conclusions, acting too quickly or impulsively with that Aries energy, dismissing feelings in the name of being strong, also Aries energy. And what you can do with Saturday's energy, move your body, walk, dance, or work out. Talk it out if something's been weighing on you. Give yourself permission to give yourself credit for how far you've come. So, some questions that you can ask yourself on Saturday: what have I grown stronger without even realizing it? What am I no longer afraid to say out loud? And what courage, what would courage look like in this moment? Sorry guys, Mercury is in shadow period, so I'm struggling communicating. Plus, my natal Mercury squares my natal moon, so I be struggling trying to talk. um, so the last day of the week, which is the new moon day in Taurus, Sunday, April the 27th. This day is all about new beginnings. real grounding, and it's a no nonsense spiritual reset. So the new moon in Taurus closes the week with a deep call to reconnect with what's real, that Taurus energy. So, your body, your values, your resources, and your peace. This isn't a surface level reset, it's rooted in work, Taurus energy. So, you might feel some tension earlier in the day on Sunday, but by the time the new moon hits, things should start to feel more clearer, especially because Mercury is getting out of its shadow period. So Taurus energy helps us come back to the basics. It helps us come back to what nourishes us, what sustains us, and what actually supports our nervous system long term. So the past is now closed, and this energy is asking us to set up a new chapter in our lives. So this is new things. It's ready to be planted with this energy. Now, some positive expressions of the new moon in Taurus and Sunday's energy would be deep clarity on your values and your desires, grounded intention setting, and also embodied presence and peace. Some challenging expressions of this energy on Sunday would be resistance to change, holding on to the old out of fear, feeling emotionally slow or stagnant. Some things that you can do on Sunday would be set some practical body based intentions. So, this would be a good day to set a workout routine or to set intentions around a new creative project where you're working with your hands. Also, do a ritual that centers your senses. So that's around food, scents, and sounds, or simplify and reconnect with what's essential. Now, some questions that you can ask yourself on Sunday. What am I calling in, and does it uh, balance or align with my current life? Like, do I have room for it? Where do I need more grounding and less chaos in my life? And what am I ready to release so I can fully root into this new cycle? So that's the astrology for the week. Um, and you already know this is about choosing what's real, letting go of what's been draining you, and planting something new with intention. So don't get caught up in tension. Stay anchored to what's true to you, stay anchored to your truth. And if this episode gave you clarity or helped you feel seen, I'd love for you to share it with your people or leave a review wherever you listen to this episode. You can also join me on YouTube, Instagram for more updates, downloads, and daily updates, astrological updates. And if you're feeling called to work together, head to the show notes. And I've also given you um, the link to book a reading in the show notes. So stay grounded, stay clear, and choose the version of you that you're ready to become this week. And do not overthink it. Just relax, surrender, especially with this North Node being in Pisces, the South Node being in Virgo. It's asking us to surrender to our beliefs. So if you don't have a belief system, it's time for you to get grounded in one. Get back to your roots, get back to your foundation. Until next time, you guys, peace.